Was the first U.S. president actually a black man? The hidden legacy of John Hanson and America's forgotten past. The forgotten name. When most people think of the first U.S. president, they immediately say George Washington. But what if that's only part of the truth? Before Washington took office in 1789, America was already governed under a different system, the Articles of Confederation. And during that time, a man named John Hanson was elected as the first President of the United States in Congress assembled in 1781. But here's where the story takes a radical turn. Some believe that John Hanson was a black man, and that this truth has been covered up for centuries. The Confederation-era presidency. The Articles of Confederation were America's first constitution, adopted in 1781 during the Revolutionary War. Under it, the new states created a loose alliance, with a president to oversee Congress. John Hanson was the first to hold this title. Though the role didn't carry the executive powers that Washington later had under the U.S. Constitution, Hanson still served as a national leader, signing official documents and managing foreign affairs. But the man behind the name, who was he really? Two John Hansons? Historians acknowledge a white John Hanson of Maryland as the Confederation president. But black communities, particularly in the 20th century, began circulating photographs of a black John Hanson, dressed in formal attire from the 1800s. This image fueled claims that the first president was actually black and that history had been rewritten to erase his legacy. Critics argued these were two different men. But supporters of the theory say the confusion is the very result of intentional whitewashing. The image that sparked debate. The photograph in question shows a dark-skinned man with 19th century features and attire. Some claim this John Hanson was a freedman from Liberia who served as a senator, not a U.S. president. Still, the image became a cultural icon, symbolizing black excellence and hidden leadership in a nation that had long erased its black contributions. While historians reject this image as the Confederation president, the deeper question remains. Why is John Hanson so unknown at all? Historical erasure and racial bias. Black historians argue that whether or not the President John Hanson was black, the lack of education about pre-Washington leadership reflects broader historical erasure. Schools rarely teach the names of the 7 men who served as president before Washington. In a country built on slave labor with a long record of suppressing black achievement, the idea that a black man once led the country, even in a symbolic or early form, was too threatening for mainstream history to embrace. The need for alternative narratives, whether symbolic or factual, the belief in a black John Hanson serves a deeper cultural need. For generations, black Americans have been told their story began with slavery. But the theory of a black U.S. president before Washington flips that narrative. It inspires questions about how deep the roots of black leadership go and how many have been buried beneath centuries of systemic rewriting. Historical truth versus cultural power. Mainstream historians maintain that the John Hanson who presided over Congress in 1781 was white. But truth in history isn't always about facts alone, it's about who gets to tell the story. And when black communities uplift figures like John Hanson, they are not just seeking accuracy. They are reclaiming space in a national story that has long excluded them. They are demanding recognition, even if that means challenging the canon. More than a myth. So, was the first U.S. president actually a black man? According to official records, no. But the idea of a black John Hanson is bigger than one man. It's a challenge to the historical narrative, a call to look deeper, a reminder that black history is not just civil rights marches and chains. It is governance, intellect, and power. And whether myth or fact, that idea has already changed minds and forced America to ask, what else has been hidden?